Okay, the topic is absolute value equations. So let's give an example here of what the absolute value does. Take, for example, I have the absolute value of -3. Now, these are supposed to be horizontal or vertical lines. I'm sorry, two vertical lines here. If you're looking at a keyboard of a computer, there are the pipe, just usually above the enter and to the right of the curly brace. Anyway, so the absolute value, what it does, you take the absolute value of a negative number, and what you're going to always get out is a positive number. For example, the -3, taking the absolute value, you get +3. So that's pretty simple. Now, this here is not going to be a trick question, but what is the absolute value of 3? It's just 3, right? So no matter what number we plug in here, we're going to always get a positive number out. Now let's actually look at an equation with an unknown, and that would be x. So this time we're going to say the absolute value of x is equal to 3. So what numbers could I plug in for x so that I get 3 out? And the way you're going to do this is first thing you do when we rewrite this equation, we drop the absolute value bars and we write x is equal to whatever's inside the absolute value bars, you just write it here, and then whatever's over here, we're going to write it right there. And then we're going to say or. Then we rewrite what's in the absolute value bars, except this time we take the negative of this number here, which is -3. So remember, up here in the top, if we plug -3 in, we got 3 out, and if we plug 3 in, we got 3 out. So, okay. Or means, to make this a true statement here, okay, I can plug 3 in, or I can plug -3 in to get this to be the solution. So the solution set, and I'm going to write it like this. These curly brackets indicate a set. If you've checked out the section on sets, 3 and -3. So this is the solution set here. Okay, let's work some more examples. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit more complicated one here. We got x plus 1, taking the absolute value, is equal to 7. So no matter what we plug in for x here, this whole side right here is going to end up equaling 7. Okay, so first thing we do is we rewrite x plus 1, drop the absolute value bars, and we just rewrite it just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put or in right here. So remember, we just write out what's inside the absolute value bars, but this time we throw a negative out in front of whatever this number is here. So that would be a -7. Okay, so we have a regular equation here now, a linear equation, and we want to solve for x. So hopefully you've checked out the section on solving for x in linear equations. Now I'm going to take this 1 over to the right hand side, so this becomes 7 minus 1, and 7 minus 1 is 6. So x is equal to 6. Or, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. This time we have a -7, bring the 1 over, and so we end up with x is equal to -8. So our solution set is going to be 6, -8. Now hopefully you know how to solve for x at this point. Okay, so I took this 1 over, and when I took it over to the right hand side of the equal sign, you change the sign of it. Alright, okay, let's work some more examples. Okay, let's work another one. I got a good one here for you. We got the absolute value of 2x minus 3. Alright, got to close it off, is equal to 11, and we want to solve for x. I want to find the solution set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop these absolute value bars. Alright, so we just rewrite what's in the absolute value bars, then rewrite what's over here to the right of the equal sign. I'm going to put an OR, and now I'm going to rewrite what's inside of the absolute value bars, except this time I'm going to throw a negative out in front of this number here. So we've got a negative 11. Okay, now so we have two linear equations and we just solve for x. So we have 2x is equal to, now I'm going to take this 3 over to the right hand side of the equal sign. So if it's a minus here, if I take it over, it becomes positive. So this becomes 11 plus 3. And then that becomes 14. Okay. Now how are we going to get this 2 over here? Well, you multiply both sides by half. Or just in a shortcut manner, you can think of just taking this 2 and moving it diagonally down below the 14. Same thing as multiplying both sides by a half. Okay. And of course, this is equal to 7. So there's one of our solutions, and you can always check this by taking the 7 and plugging it in for x up here. And you end up with 2 times 7 is 14, and 14 minus 3 is 11. So you know you got the right solution. Now let's look at this one over here. So we have 2x is equal to, I'm going to take the 3 over to the other side of the equal sign, so it becomes a plus 3. And negative 3 plus 3, I'm sorry, negative 11 plus 3 is going to end up being negative 8. And so we have 2x is equal to negative 8. So we multiply both sides by a half, and we get x is equal to negative 4. So our solution set is going to be 7 and negative 4. So these are the solutions to our original equation up here. Alright, let's look at another one. Alright, so we have the absolute value of x plus 7, and this time I'm going to have minus 2 is equal to 10. So we want to get this thing in a standard form, and that is where we have the absolute value over here and then our constants over on the right hand side. So I'm going to take this negative 2 over to the right, and it's going to become 10 plus 2, and we have the absolute value of x plus 7. So now we have 11. Oh, we have 12, I mean. And x plus 7 absolute value. So now what we're going to do is drop the absolute value bars. We have x plus 7 is equal to 12, or x plus 7 is equal to negative 12. Taking the 7 over to the right, it becomes a minus 7, so you have 12 minus 7 is going to be x is equal to 5. Bringing the 7 over to the right hand side, you have minus 7, so you have negative 12 minus 7. So this ends up being x is equal to negative 19. So our solution set is 5 and 19. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can solve for x at this point. If not, you want to check out the section on linear equations. Alright, so I'm skipping those intermediate steps now because you're all grown up. We got bigger fish to fry, folks. Alright, let's move on. Alright, let's look at something different. What if I had 3 times the absolute value of x plus 4? And that was all equal to 15. So we want to get this in a standard form, and that is where we just have absolute values on the left and then probably constants over here on the right. So we've got to do something with this 3 here, and what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by 1/3. So 1/3 times 3 and 1/3 times 15, right? So what we do to the left, we got to do to the right. So 1/3 times 3 is 1, so now we're just left with the absolute value of x plus 4 is equal to, and 1/3 of 15 is 5. Right, 3 goes into 15 5 times. So now we've got it in our standard form, and if you've been working the previous problems, you should be able to work this one out pretty easily. We'll just go through it real fast. We have x is equal, or x plus 4 is equal to 5. So that's going to be the first thing I do, is drop the absolute value bars, and then we're going to rewrite what's in the absolute value bars. But remember, we throw a negative out in the front. Now we just simply solve for x. So if I take 4 over to the right hand side of the equal sign, it's a minus because it's positive here. We take it over to the right, it becomes minus, and 5 minus 4 is, you guessed it, 1. So we take positive 4 over to the right, becomes negative 4, and negative 5 minus 4 is a negative 9. Okay, and I'm going to write the solution set up here since we got more room. All right. So these are our solutions to the absolute value equation, and you can always check your work by plugging these numbers in. For example, let's plug 1 into here. You got 1 plus 4 is 5, and the absolute value of 5 is 5, and 5 times 3 is 15. So that works out, and I'll let you go ahead and plug negative 9 in and see what we get. Alright, let's look at another one. What about if we had the absolute value of 3x minus 1 plus 7 is equal to 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this thing in standard form. That is, I want just the absolute, what's in the absolute value bars on the left hand side of the equal sign. So let's get rid of this 7 and bring it over to the right. So if it's positive, we'll bring it over to the right, it becomes negative. And so we're left with 3x minus 1. So 2 minus 7 is a negative 5. Okay. We have the absolute value of 3x minus 1 is equal to negative 5. Just find something fishy here. Remember, no matter what you plug into this side is always going to be a positive number. So if I took if I found me an x and I plugged it in, and somehow we got a negative number out, like negative 5, then that goes against the definition of what the absolute value stands for, right? So this side is going to always be a positive number, and you can't have a positive number equal to a negative number. So this can't be done, right? So there's no solution. Also known as the empty set, right? So the solution set is empty. It's just not possible. Okay, moving right along. Alright, I've got one here that's going to rock your world. If you like to live in a rocked world. How about 2x plus 1 is equal to, okay, so I'm not going to put a constant over here. It's actually going to be equal to another absolute value. And that's the absolute value of x minus 7. Whoa. But don't sweat it. We're going to treat this just like we've treated the others. So let's drop the absolute value bars. So 2x plus 1 is equal to x minus 7. Okay? And I'm going to rewrite, do this again. So we have 2x plus 1 is equal to, now remember what we did to this one? We threw a negative out in front. Well, we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're going to throw a negative out in the front, making sure that I'm writing this part in parentheses. Okay, that's extremely crucial because we're going to need to distribute this negative across. So we have a linear equation, and if you work the first section on linear equations, you should know how to work this problem in your sleep. Alright, I'm not going to go through all the intermediate steps, so bear with me. So we have 2x. Now I'm going to take this x over to this side of the equal sign, and because it's a positive, I make it a negative. And I'm going to take my constant over here to this side, and because it's positive, when I bring it over, I change the sign, and it becomes negative. Now I'm going to collect like terms. 2x minus x is x, and x is equal to negative 8. Alright, looks good so far. Now let's do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this negative across. So we have negative x plus 7, 2x plus 1. Okay, taking this negative x over to this side of the equal sign, so it's negative, I take it over, change the sign, so it becomes a positive x now. And I'm going to take this 1 over to this side. So we have 7 minus 1. Collecting my like terms, so I have 3x is equal to 6, and therefore x is equal to 2. Right? 2 times 3 is 6. Multiplying both sides by 1/3. A third of 6 is 2. Okay, well, our solution set is negative 8, comma 2. And what we should be able to do is plug this negative 8 in over here. And let's just kind of visually do this. So negative 8, plug it in. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. And negative 16 plus 1 is negative 15. But then we take the absolute value of negative 15, we get positive 15. Right? Okay, well, we're getting 15 over here on this side. Now let's take this negative 8 and plug it in for this x. Well, negative 8 minus 7 is negative 15. And when you take the absolute value of the negative number, you just get back that number, but it's positive form, so you get positive 15, and therefore negative 8 checks out. We have 15 is equal to 15. Sounds good. Alright. I'm going to write one up here on the screen, give the solution, and you try to work it out yourself. Alright, let's see. What do we got? We got the absolute value of 3x plus 1 is equal to the absolute value of 3x minus 5. Be careful, this problem's a little tricky, but I think you can do it. Your solution set is 2/3. Alright, so you try working that out and follow the steps and see what you get. But take notice, there's only one solution here. Alright, good luck.